So as I'm sure everybody's all aware, Live Nation is making headlines in the last 48 hours. And for once, it's not horrible stuff. It actually looks like Live Nation has got a big W on their hands for once. The entire music community is kind of celebrating this. I've seen bands going crazy on Twitter. I've seen fans going crazy. Like, yeah, Live Nation's finally going to take care of the bands. For anybody watching this on YouTube later, we're currently live on Twitch. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Live Nation has announced a new program called the On the Road Again program, where they are going to eliminate merchandise fees that they take from bands at, I believe it was somewhere around 70 or 80 of their club venues, which is about 2,000 capacity-ish and lower. Also going to be giving $1,500 to each artist that plays at their shows. Like $1,500 on top of what they're already getting paid, according to their program. Looks great on paper.
But wait, there's more.
Like with any time I see anything with Live Nation, my first gut immediate reaction when I saw this was, what's the catch? There's a catch. There has to be. It's Live Nation. Live Nation isn't doing something like this out of the goodness of their own hearts. Their PR will make it seem like they are, for sure. But there's got to be catches in this. There's got to be stipulations. And in the last 48 hours, I've done my research and I've even talked to friends that I have that work at Live Nation venues, and they have told me there are catches. And today we're going to go over all this. But before we really dive in here, because I feel like this is a topic where people might see my YouTube channel for the first time, if anybody's watching this and be like, oh, you know, what's this guy's background? Why should I listen to what this guy says? For anybody that's new here, I've been touring in the music industry for 18 years. A few of those years where I was in an actual band playing all over the place, including Live Nation venues. But for the majority of it, I've been working for bands. Over the years, I've been a merchandise manager for a couple different companies, one of those being Live Nation merchandise, club bands to arena and stadium bands. I've been a backline tech, so guitars, drums, bass, stuff like that. I've done lighting. I've done a lot of different things. Most recently, I was the North American tour manager for the Electric Callboy tour that was right here. So most of the venues we did on that are venues that are a part of this On the Road Again program. So all these Live Nation venues. So I don't know everything, but I do have a good grasp on what goes on in the music industry. So today I want to share some of that knowledge. So to start this off, let's look at the actual official Live Nation announcement. So I'm not like mixing up words or anything. I want to show you exactly what they released a couple days ago. Willie Nelson's On the Road Again inspires new program for developing artists and crew. Live Nation has launched On the Road Again, a new program created with the legendary Willie Nelson to support developing artists and the integral teams that support them. Developing artists playing in clubs are the backbone of live music. Almost every artist plays clubs at some point in their career. According to live music charts from Pollstar, there are 4,000 venues in the United States, and small venues host about 70% of all shows each year. These hardworking artists are impacted the most as tour costs rise and fluctuate. Even as the music industry is experiencing unprecedented growth, Live Nation wants to do more to help the live music careers of these talented artists, as well as the hardworking crews that operate behind the curtain. I don't know what Willie Nelson actually has to do with this, other than just being like the poster child for this program. Obviously, On the Road Again, they used the title of his song, one of his very well-known songs.
On the road again.
I don't know what he's actually doing. I don't know if this was his initiative. I don't know if he's financially backing anything from it. I think he might just be a figurehead for this, but either way, let's continue. Touring is important to artists, so whatever we can do to help other artists, I think we should do it. This program will impact thousands of artists this year and help make touring a little bit easier, said Willie Nelson, who generously provided his famous hit song On the Road Again as the anthem for the program. Okay, so at least as of right now, he just allowed them to use his song. That's what Willie Nelson did for this. Fucking legend, though. I love me some Willie. Through the end of the year, the On the Road Again program is expected to deliver tens of millions of dollars in extra earnings to club artists and crew by supporting developing artists. All of Live Nation's clubs are investing in developing artists by providing $1,500 in gas and travel cash per show to all headliners and support acts, on top of nightly performance compensation. So the way that reads right now, let's say a band has a $1,000 guarantee at a venue, they're still going to get an extra $1,500 on top of that to go into their road expenses. That's how that is worded right there. Sounds pretty good. Additionally, these clubs will charge no merchandise selling fees, so artists keep 100% of merch profits. Touring is a crucial part of an artist's livelihood, and we understand travel costs take one of the biggest bites out of artists' nightly profits. By helping with these core expenses, we aim to make it easier for artists on the road so they can keep performing to their fans in more cities across the country. The next thing they listed is thanking our behind-the-scenes heroes. Live Nation also wants to recognize all the unsung heroes working behind the scenes night after night to help make these shows happen, with more grind and less glory than most of the business. On the Road Again is providing financial bonuses to local promoters that help execute its shows, tour reps that live life on a bus, as well as venue crew members that have worked over 500 hours in 2023. The next bullet point is lending a hand to crew across the industry. On the Road Again is donating $5 million to Crew Nation to support crew across the industry facing unforeseen hardships. Now, I will say, for anybody that doesn't know what Crew Nation is, it's actually a great program. Live Nation started Crew Nation to help touring and local crew members if they are experiencing financial hardships. Now, I have actually benefited from this program. When COVID shut down the entire touring industry, Crew Nation actually provided money, like pay to roadies that couldn't tour anymore. It wasn't a ridiculous amount of money. If I remember off the top of my head, it was like a one-time payment of approximately like $800 or something like that. But I'm not complaining. That's $800 that I didn't have during the pandemic that Crew Nation allowed me to have. And not just me, but thousands of other people that were touring. So Crew Nation is a great program. I will say that. Delivering for live artists is always our core mission, said Michael Rapinoe, president and CEO of Live Nation Entertainment. The live music industry is continuing to grow, and as it does, we want to do everything we can to support artists at all levels on their touring journey, especially the developing artists and clubs. Like Willie says, this is all about making it a little easier for thousands of artists to continue doing what they love, going out and playing for their fans. On the Road Again is a true collaboration that draws on insights from Nelson's years on the road, as well as feedback from touring artists, their teams, and venue operators to help support day-to-day life on tour. All benefits from On the Road Again are being provided directly from the venue's existing earnings, with no increases to customers. Remember that line for later. No increases to customers. For more information on the program and a list of participating venues, visit roadagain.live. So really quick, one of the things I want to show you on screen here is the list of participating venues. Now keep in mind, these are Live Nation venues. This is specifically a Live Nation thing. These are venues that Live Nation actually owns. Not that they just promote at or anything. They own these venues. And there's some decent sized ones on here, man. Right away, the Van Buren in Phoenix, Arizona. That was a stop that we did on the Electric Callboy Tour. That's like 2,200 capacity, 2,200, like good size venue. And bands that are playing venues that size, I mean, that's huge that they're not going to get a merch cut taken away. I have a feeling just looking at this list, that's probably one of the biggest venues that's going to be on here. You know, the Fillmore in Minneapolis. I'd be curious to see if the Fillmore in Denver is in here because that's a bigger venue. Here's Colorado. So they got the Summit, the Marquee, and the Moon Room. So the Fillmore Denver is not on this list, which is a Live Nation venue. But that place is about 3,800 capacity. So a lot of these venues on here are definitely, like they said, in those club levels. One of the things to keep in mind, too, is that a lot of these venues are an artist sells venue. What that means is when it comes to merchandise, there is either a artist sell or a venue sell. An artist sell means that the artists themselves or their merchandise manager on the road is setting up, displaying, inventorying, doing all of the merch themselves. A venue sell is when a band or their merchandise manager is counting in with the venue, and then that venue takes everything and they set up and display and sell everything all night, and then at the end you count out with them. So that's been the biggest argument with merchandise fees for me. Like, I did merchandise for years, and I've always believed that if it's an artist sell where a band or their merchandise manager is having to sell everything themselves, there should be no fee at all. The venue has done nothing at all other than provide the space. And that's always been an argument from the venues, is that we're providing you space for you to sell your merch, so you owe us something for that because we could have put something else in that space, like a bar or something like that. But I firmly believe if a band is selling it themselves or the merchandise manager is, there should never be a fee. But I do, on the other hand, believe, I know not a lot of bands would agree with me, but I do believe if it's a venue sell where the venue is selling everything all night for you, you should be paying a fee to them because those people that worked all day need to get paid. And what better way than to just tack on a merch fee? I mean, you know, I've seen bands on Twitter and stuff say like arena size bands are like, this is so unfair that we're getting merch fees taken away from our stuff. I was like, yeah, but what you're not telling your fans is that your merchandise manager is counting in merchandise with the venue. And then the venue at an arena is like 20 people minimum because they're setting up 4 or 5 different displays on different levels of that arena. They're doing everything. They're displaying everything. They're selling everything. They're doing inventory control. Like in a situation like that, venues should get paid for doing your merchandise. They have provided a service. They have worked for you and you need to pay them. So if anybody's ever confused or curious on my stance on merch fees, if a venue does nothing and a band does everything themselves, they should never pay a fee, ever. But if the venue does all the selling and all of that stuff, then a fee should be involved. But as I said in the beginning, Live Nation, a giant powerhouse monopoly in the music industry, first thing in my brain is what's the catch? Live Nation is not doing this out of the goodness of their own hearts. Yes, bands have been very vocal about merch fees lately, and they needed to do something. They needed to do something to get them out of all the negative press. And this seems like it has. Because I saw some bands online celebrating this where I'm just like, you need to... This isn't the W you think it is. You need to hold off. One of the biggest ones here that I saw, one of the more outspoken people too about merch fees and stuff like that, and we've talked about it on the channel, Andy from Monuments. You might also know him from doing Termina with Nick Nocturnal. Andy posted 2 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. September 25th. He said, quote, "Today is the first day that Live Nation has halted merch cuts for smaller venues. It's real. We will not be paying out today. Huge W. Great job, everyone. Keep making noise until it's the standard everywhere." My issue with that statement, again, is I feel like bands are just falling into exactly what Live Nation wanted. You didn't beat Live Nation. You're never going to beat Live Nation. They fucking own you. If you're in a band, they always will. You're never going to win. So this, to me, seeing all these bands celebrating like crazy, there may be some immediate impacts that you see. Yes, not paying a merch fee, maybe getting a little extra money, like awesome. But there are going to be repercussions from this. There was a lot of people that posted on here, like congratulations, a lot of verified accounts, a lot of other bands that were talking about how huge this is. I actually responded just to be funny with Andy. You can see it right here. I said, "Oh, you poor naive soul." And to be fair, Andy responded and he said, "I already have my reservations that there will be a catch. However, we didn't pay last night and Live Nation gave us $1,200 back. Cash is still in our hands, so it is a win for now at least." 100% I agree with that statement. That's a win. Their band got an extra $1,200. But $1,200 isn't $1,500. So now I'm wondering, I'm like, where's the missing $300? So one of the things I wanted to talk about is that one of my friends who is a promoter, who does work with Live Nation, told me that $1,500 stipend, there are going to be situations where it is like versus a guarantee. So basically... And this is hearsay. This is speculation. This came from somebody else. This is not on paper from Live Nation. So I do have to throw that out there just so nobody quotes me. But this person did tell me that the $1,500 in most situations is going to be versus a guarantee. So basically what that means is that bands are guaranteed up to $1,500 depending on what they're already getting guaranteed for the show. It's going to be versus a lot of door deals. So like the way that it looks is that each band can possibly make a minimum of, $1,500 a night or up to $1,500 a night, like somebody just said in chat. But it's not on top of what they're already getting paid. If a band has a guarantee of like, let's say $1,500 already, I don't believe they're going to give them an extra $1,500. Like, I don't think that's happening. If it does happen and any bands out there like do receive that money after getting a big guarantee already, let me know because I'd be very curious. The other thing to keep in mind off of that is that's going to be a huge tax write-off for Live Nation. That's like they're basically just giving money away to bands that's not part of the contract or the deal. Massive tax write-off for Live Nation. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work. But if you're a business and you're handing out money, you're going to get a write-off for that. That's part of that. Isano in chat just said, unless the paying party is one of Willie Nelson's charity funds. They didn't stipulate that in that announcement, though. In the announcement, it said that all of this money is coming from Live Nation's already existing earnings. That was worded by them specifically. So if one of Willie Nelson's charities is involved, they did not say that. Here's an interesting tweet, and this is one of the things I wanted to bring up. Live Nation just officially launched a campaign to knock out all of their independent competitors under the guise of helping and supporting the smaller touring industry. That is a big part of this that nobody is thinking about. Live Nation just launched a genius PR campaign for this. I mean, they're getting nothing but good press from this, and this is going to knock out their competitors. That's what's going to happen because Live Nation is like, oh, we're going to pay bands more. Oh, we're not going to charge a merch fee at clubs. Well, now all these bands are going to want to pay at Live Nation. They're going to want to play at Live Nation venues and not the independently owned ones. So yeah, like that's 100% a thing. Like independent venues are sweating about this because they're going to suffer. It's going to happen. Dragon's Den 96 just brought up an excellent question in the chat. Do you think this is a scheme to buy out the indie venues? I don't know if it's a scheme. I wouldn't go as far as saying the word scheme, but Live Nation has been known to do this. They buy out these independent venues, enough where they own over 51%, but then they let these venues still operate under their name. So they don't look like they're Live Nation owned. That's a fucking thing. That is a thing. So in Chicago, for example, one of my really good friends is a promoter in Chicago, and he has told me that over the pandemic, Live Nation swooped in and bought the majority stake in a lot of independent venues, but they've stayed behind the scenes with their name out of it. So they don't want to make it look like these independent venues have become Live Nation venues. They let them operate as the venue, but they own the majority, so they're still making money from it. So let's say a band that doesn't like Live Nation is booking a tour and they tell their booking agent, no, don't book us at the House of Blues in Chicago, book us at this indie venue. That indie venue could still possibly be majority owned by Live Nation. Eddie Trunk says, great move here by Live Nation. And then Craig Reynolds said, okay, we did Live Nation at Twitch. Give me my 70-30 back. This is the problem, though. Every single one of these bands played exactly into Live Nation's hands. They're writing it off as a giant W. Bands right now are thinking, we did it. We beat Live Nation. We were so vocal about it that they caved, and they are doing all of this for us. Again, I don't know the specifics yet. We're still doing digging. Live Nation is a billion-dollar monopoly, dude. They are not doing this out of the goodness of their own hearts. Elanuvian in chat just said the bands are focusing on the now. They're not thinking about what comes after. That is a fantastic point as well, and that is a good segue into what I wanted to talk about. Another one of my friends that I talked to that is a Live Nation employee told me that they would not be surprised. Now, this is, again, just for, I guess, like legal reasons, and don't quote me on this. This is just speculation from what a Live Nation employee told me. I would not be surprised to start seeing like an extra couple dollar fee on Ticketmaster to make up for some of the money they're losing from merch sales. Now, I don't know whether or not that's for sure going to happen or not, but I started thinking about it. And I was like, how much money would they make up from this? Let's say a band is playing at a 1,000 capacity venue and they're doing $10 a head in merchandise. And that is the most important number for merchandise, just so everybody knows, is your dollar per head amount, not the gross amount. Because if you're playing at a 1,000 capacity venue and you do $1,000 in merch, 4 figures looks pretty good, but that's $1 per head. That is the big number that all merchandise managers and accountants look at it shows, is the dollar per head. So I just want to stress the importance of that. So if a band is playing at a 1,000 capacity venue and they do $10,000 in merchandise that night, that means they did $10 per head. That means for everybody that was in that room that paid for a ticket and went to the show, on average, each person spent $10 in merchandise. That's a good number. $10 a head is a decent number for nowadays standards, for sure. Now, most Live Nation venues have been charging 20%. 20% merchandise fee, off the adjusted gross, because you got to take out local taxes and credit card fees and stuff like that. But let's just, for the sake of math, let's just say 20% of $10,000 is $2,000. So that's an extra $2,000 that the band is not going to get taken from them for doing merchandise with this program. That's pretty awesome. $2,000 gets a band way further on the road. It allows them to pay for gas, maybe a hotel room, their crew, whatnot. That's awesome. Let's just say a new $3 on the road again fee gets added to all-in pricing for Ticketmaster. So let's say starting, now, an extra $3 gets added onto every ticket you're going to buy. That means at that 1,000 capacity venue, Live Nation, if they're adding a $3 fee onto every ticket, is now going to make $3,000 in additional income that they wouldn't before. That's more than if they were charging a merchandise fee. So if you look at it, yeah, that's great that the bands are getting that extra $2,000 that Live Nation would have normally taken from them. But if that happens, that means Live Nation is going to be passing on all of these costs to the fans, and they're actually going to end up making more money than they would have if they just continued charging merchandise fees to bands. These are the little things with this program that were sticking out to me that I'm like, where's the catch? Little things like this. Dragon's Den 96 just said, to be fair, I'd spend $3 extra to make sure the band gets paid properly. Fair enough. You know what? I think I would too. I'd pay that extra $3 just to make sure that bands were getting 100% of their merch fees. But here's the problem. Like I just said, Live Nation is going to make more money off of you anyways. So, this is a lose-lose for everybody and a win-win for Live Nation, in my opinion, right now. Just looking at this, where we're at right now. Yeah, as Frost just said in chat again, like they have to recoup this money from somewhere. Live Nation is not a business that's going to be doing things out of the goodness of their own heart that's going to benefit the consumers and the bands. It's just not. They're a business. They're $1 billion business. They're going to make money somehow. So I've talked to some of my friends that are production managers at some of these Live Nation venues that are on this list. Some of them were places we just went to with Electric Callboy. And according to them, this has already become kind of a nightmare situation because they did tell me that, yes, they are cutting additional checks to bands each night. So they are paying out bands more, like the program said that they are going to. But a lot of Live Nation venues now are cashless, which means they're exactly how it sounds. They're not giving out cash for anything anymore. So now production managers at these venues have to do tons more paperwork every night and cut additional checks and all this other stuff. Or if they do cash, they have to get those advances a week ahead of time and stuff like that. So while the program at face value does look good, it's already putting a lot more work on Live Nation employees at the venues. Now, I also will say, Live Nation as a company does not have a good reputation. Even in my opinion, it's pretty much Live Nation. But I will say there are some wonderful people that actually work at Live Nation at the promoter and venue level. Like, some of the people that I worked with on this last tour were absolutely incredible. Our promoter for the tour was absolutely incredible. I mean, most of the problems from Live Nation are at the corporate level. So a lot of the stuff that's going on here actually just seems like a lot more work for the actual staff at the venues than anything. Now, another one of my friends at a Live Nation venue did say from an internal memo that they got from Live Nation, they are continuing no merch fees at their venue through 2024, but the On the Road Again program that includes the extra payouts for bands for road expenses, that ends in 3 months. 3 months and it'll be done completely. So yeah, This is definitely a temporary situation to get people to shut up, to get bans on Live Nation's side, to be like, they care about us, they're trying. Listen, I'm just gonna be really blunt here. If there's any band members out here that see this, I would like to just say, Live Nation does not give a fuck about you. They give a fuck about their bottom line. That's it. Live Nation is trying to make money. Now, that's not to say that there aren't Live Nation employees out there that don't care. There probably are some promoters and venue people out there that absolutely do care about the bands they work with. I can tell you right now, the promoter that we had on the Electric Callboy Tour in North America was absolutely fantastic and a wonderful human being that did a lot for us that they did not need to do. They care. But Live Nation is a corporate company. They don't give a fuck, man. Are you kidding? All of the things that we've talked about today are probably true. This is a scheme to put independent venues out of business. This is good PR to get people to shut up about how much Live Nation is fucking over bands. Now, let's talk about the bands really quick. The last thing I want to talk about this no merch fee thing with the bands. Bands for a while now have been defending their merchandise prices because we've seen t-shirt prices go up astronomically at concerts. I've seen like $40 t-shirts at shows recently, $40, $45. Hell, I went to a show recently where t-shirts were $55. Bands have been defending that by saying, well, because the venue charges us a merch fee, we have to sell our stuff for more so that we can make up for that lost income. Now that these certain Live Nation venues aren't charging merchandise fees, now is the time for these bands to put their fucking money where their mouth is. Because if bands don't bring down their prices, that tells you right there that the bands were full of shit too. Now, on the flip side of that, I will say I think fans would be happy to know that 100% of their money was going to the band and they'd probably happily pay $40 for a t-shirt. I would, honestly. If I went and saw a band, if I knew they were getting 100% of that money, I'd probably pay $40 for a t-shirt just because I want to support the band. But for all the bands out there that have been using the defensive merchandise fees for why their merch is so expensive, well, we'd love to sell it for less, but we can't because there's fees. What are you going to do now? I mean, spotlight's on the bands right now, other than Live Nation. Like, are we going to get lower merch prices or no? My guess would be no. Because like I said, people are already used to buying t-shirts for a certain price, and now there's going to be no fee, so the bands are going to make more. But like I said, I think fans would be okay with that, knowing that 100% of their money is going to the band. Temporarily right now, bands are definitely going to be getting more money, which is great. That is a good thing. But in the long run, what is this going to do? What is this going to do to consumers? What is this going to do to independent venues that aren't owned by Live Nation? How is this going to work out in the long run for bands? Like we already talked about, this On the Road program itself is only going until the end of 2023, unless they extend it. As another merchandise manager friend of mine said that we brought up earlier, this is just a temporary fix to get people to shut up for a while, and that's about it. Cookies! But yeah, anyways, I guess that's a good place to wrap this up. We're going to keep our eyes on this. I am very curious to keep my eye on this and see what actually happens, whether they continue this program or to see what happens. And it's just, this is interesting because right now, Live Nation looks like they have the giant W on their chest, like they just changed the game. But I still think that there's some weird stuff. There's some weird stuff afoot here, and I don't know what it is, but we're going to figure it out. But until next time, thank you to everybody that's on Twitch right now. Anybody on YouTube, if you'd like to join us on Twitch later, my link is twitch.tv/TankTheTech. We stream 3 days a week, and we talk music stuff and do reactions, so you're more than welcome to join us. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, my handle on most everything is @TankTheTech. But until next time, wherever you are in the world, be safe, be kind to each other, and I will see you all very soon.